We all crave independence, and living alone gives us a good taste of that. I've been living alone for the past 5 years, so I've learned a thing or two about how to handle my money to make it both doable and affordable, especially in high or medium cost of living cities. So today I'll be giving you 7 of my best tips to save money while living alone. So let's get into it. The first tip is to budget, and I'm sure you probably had someone tell you how important budgeting is, so I won't belabor that point too much, but I do want to mention that budgeting is really good so that you can figure out where your money is going and direct your money toward the things in your life that actually matter and that you care about instead of spending money on frivolous items. And if you want to learn how to budget, I actually have an entire video on my channel where I cover my monthly budgeting process from start to finish in its entirety, and I'll leave that video linked in the description box below for you to check out. One other thing I want to say before I move on to the next tip is that budgeting is really important so that you can figure out how to pay yourself first. And paying yourself first is just another way of saying prioritize your savings. So once you figure out how much you want to save each month, automate your savings as soon as possible. This way, as soon as your paycheck comes in, your savings are already being filled up. And this is really helpful, especially when you're trying to build an emergency fund or a sinking fund. The next tip is to rent only what you can afford. Rent is one of the biggest expenses, so be very selective and diligent when it comes to choosing where to live. As a general rule of thumb, rent should be no more than 30% of your total monthly gross income, so that is your pre-tax income. So just be sure that you know your numbers before you start apartment searching. That way you don't waste your time looking at units that you actually can't afford. When searching for an apartment, look around in various neighborhoods to get a feel for the price and the place as a whole. I always think it's better to visit in person so that you can get a better idea of the neighborhood that you might be living in and see if you can really envision yourself living in that area. I know that sometimes it's not always possible to visit a place before moving. For me personally, when I moved to LA, I was not able to visit LA to do my apartment search in person, so I just depended a lot on like Google Maps and various YouTube videos that showed the neighborhood, and it worked out for me. I'm happy with the choice that I made, but I've also heard stories from people who have had completely opposite experiences, so this is just something to be careful of and be aware of during your apartment search. The next tip is to shop secondhand as much as possible. In my very first apartment, almost everything in there came secondhand. My sister gave me her old coffee table, her old area rug, and I got a bunch of my furniture from secondhand shops in my hometown. And furniture is a huge expense, so I would definitely not recommend buying all your furniture new outright. For the stuff that I did not get secondhand in my first apartment, I got a lot of it very cheaply from places like Walmart, IKEA, and even Amazon. But I would recommend starting off getting secondhand furniture, and then you can always save up and buy stuff new later on. And another great place to check for secondhand items is Facebook Marketplace. I actually got my bar stools from there, and I got a really good deal on them. Beyond furniture, shopping secondhand for clothes is also a really great idea to save some money. There are some great secondhand shops that have amazing deals on used clothes that are still good quality, so don't write these places off without visiting them. I encourage you to look around for these shops in your local area. The next tip, which actually has probably helped me the most since moving to LA, is to embrace minimalism. Minimalism is a lifestyle choice that promotes simplifying and decluttering your life. Minimalism enables you to really make intentional purchasing decisions and promotes mindful consumption. Do not buy things simply for the sake of accumulating stuff. Before you make a purchase, really consider the purpose and the value of that item. So you want to make sure that what you're buying is unique. So if you find that you already have something that is similar, or if you determine that you won't get multiple uses out of that item, then those are telltale signs that you should not go through with that purchase. Embracing minimalism has really helped me to limit my impulse purchases, and I think even above that, it has really helped me to appreciate the things that I already do have instead of just accumulating more stuff for the purpose of appearances or as some unhealthy form of therapy. Quick pause, if you're getting value from this video so far, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more weekly personal finance content. Now let's get back to the video. The next tip to save money is to take public transit or walk as much as possible. Now this tip will really depend heavily on where you live. I lived in Chicago for 4 years and I was constantly taking the trains and the buses pretty much everywhere you can think of, work, the gym, to meet up with friends, etc. Chicago is a great city because you don't need a car to live there. And I actually did not have a car for 2 out of the 4 years that I lived there, and it was perfectly fine for me. Now that I live in LA, it's a bit of a different story here because public transportation is not as abundant and not as great compared to Chicago, and it really is necessary to have a car here. But I do live downtown, and downtown LA is walkable, so I have been able to walk to work, walk to the grocery store, walk to go shopping, and that has saved me a good amount of money on gas. So when you're considering where to live, I would take into consideration if you're going to be able to use public transit, if you're going to be able to walk, because that can really save you a lot of money. The next tip is to stop eating takeout so often. We all know that getting takeout is way more expensive than just going to the grocery store and cooking at home. So personally, I just decided to delete the takeout apps like DoorDash and Grubhub off of my phone, so I'm not even tempted to browse them anymore. So instead of takeout, I highly recommend that you figure out how to meal prep. Meal prep will save you so much time and money, and it does take more time on the front end to actually plan out what you're going to eat for that week, but I think it is absolutely worth the effort. And if you don't like eating one meal for the entire week, then you could actually do 2 smaller preps and then rotate between those meals throughout the week. I find all of my recipes on Pinterest, so if you're looking for some awesome recipe inspiration, I highly recommend that you check there. Also, if you want to save money on groceries, I recently did a video on my channel all about Thrive Market, which is an online grocery store. So if you'd like to learn more about what Thrive Market is and if it could possibly save you money, then I'll leave that video linked in the description box below. The next tip is to get outside in your community. When you're living alone, I think it's really important to get out of your home often and actually take advantage of the community and the resources available to you. I think most cities have free museums, art exhibits, and outdoor concerts, things of that nature, and don't skip out on these. They can be really good ways to spend your day or spend the afternoon, and while you're out there, you might even meet some new friends. Also, depending on where you live, it's a really great idea to just get outside as much as possible because being outside is always free and it's really great for both your mental and your physical health. In LA, there are a bunch of hiking trails and of course beaches, which I've been taking advantage of and will continue to take advantage of, especially as we move into summertime. So I hope this shows you that living in a high cost of living city can be doable, but some lifestyle adjustments are needed. But overall, I think these adjustments are a good thing because it will help you to be more on top of your finances. Plus, if you choose to get married in the future, I'm sure your future spouse will be appreciative to be married to someone who knows how to handle their finances. But these tips are just the beginning. Click the video on the screen to hear about 12 money habits you can implement right now to improve your finances. Thanks for watching.